Man, it is unraveling at the seams. What's up, YouTube family? Gerald Greenlee here with Clean and Green Lawn Service in beautiful South GA. Hey, hope y'all having a good day today. Another employee quit. Gave me a 2-day notice. I quit today. Not really, but Z-Man is moving on. I'm excited for Z-Man. Z-Man's about to go to work in the electrical industry. So far this year, I've lost Elro Mo and Z-Man. Good thing I got JT, and he's on vacation. So anyway, it's Friday here. I've been helping my son-in-law put flooring down in his house. Man, that house probably like, I don't know, 3,000 square feet seemed like. I say it's at least, it's over 2 inside. But anyway, I got some projects, some things I need to be doing, but I've been trying to help him. So JT's on vacation this week. Well, he worked Monday and Tuesday, 2 long days, got everything done he could, everything that needed to be done at the beginning of the week. Z-Man went out and took care of one yesterday. It's dry here. We moved a bunch of properties to next week, just so dry. I say a bunch. We moved a handful, but one of those was a big one, so which I was going to let Z-Man go out and cut, you know, Wednesday or something to get them done if we needed to. But since we got them moved, it all worked out. JT will be back next Tuesday, so he's off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Going to the beach, man. He wanted to know if he could have a couple of days off to go down there with his family, his parents and wife and whoever else. And I said, well, when they going? And he told me, I was like, man, I said, we'll figure it out. Just take off whatever you need. So I went and looked at a couple of properties today that I got to get some prices on. Don't really know that I want to get any more. I'm kind of, with not having Elro, because Elro was very flexible. He worked whenever, like he didn't need full time. Z-Man was kind of the same way. Z-Man was working for like 3 different people. He was helping 003 a day a week. He's got another guy that he was helping do like stuff around the house, painting and that kind of stuff. His girlfriend's uncle or something like that. And then he would work the days I needed him. The good thing with Z-Man is I always had the option, if I needed for some reason to send him out by himself, I could. It wasn't my preferred way of doing things, but I could do that. And that's mainly because he drives like a maniac. So he can't be out driving my stuff like that, man. So, especially not pulling no trailer. But, so now I done lost that, and I'm getting, I don't have JT, there's not enough for him to work 40 hours a week, but I don't know that I ever want to get that much because, he's taking some days off to go with his wife to the doctor, and I ain't gonna get into all that. Nothing bad, but, I told him, I said, well, if you as long as the stuff is done at the end of the week, man, if you need a day off, I ain't got no problem with that. So, and he usually works 10 hours a day anyway. So, but, I can't get him a full schedule because if he gets behind, it'll be very difficult for him to catch up. And I don't have now where I can just throw Z-Man with him for a day or 2 and they right back on schedule. Or Elro with him for a day or 2 and they right back on schedule. So, You know, it had to be me, and I don't have time to be messing with all that stuff. I mean, I cut on Friday. I don't mind cutting on Friday. I enjoy doing that. But there's even some Fridays, you know, ministry things come up or whatever, and I'm not able to do that. So I got to go see a customer right now. I'll tell y'all a little story. I sent Z-Man and JT. I went with them, showed them what to do on a yard, and they told me they were done. You know, where you want us to go? This is 2 weeks ago. Yesterday was 2 weeks ago. And I said, you know, I told them what to go take care of. I said, did y'all talk to the customer? Yeah, she's happy. She said, looks great. Okay. Well, she was wanting to talk to me about being on the schedule, right? And so I called her a couple of days ago, and I said, hey. And she said, well, hey, I was wondering when you was going to call. And I said, oh, okay. I said, she said, I'm a little disappointed. I thought she was playing with me, you know. I don't know her that well, but I just thought, you know, she was messing with me. I said, oh, yeah? She said, yeah, I don't feel like I got my money's worth out of that cleanup y'all did. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she said, well, they just didn't. I said, well, hold on now. I said, I talked to the guys, and I asked the guys if you looked at it. And they said that you told them it looked great. Well, I was talking about the front yard. But she paid them, gave them the money. And I told her, I said, you know, because she was going to give me a deposit, asked if I wanted a deposit up front. I said, no, ma'am, we don't collect money on these kind of jobs until you're satisfied. It's okay. She gave him the money, told him it looked great, and never called me. Now, I really don't owe her anything. I don't. But I'm the kind of guy, I don't want there to be no, you know, I don't like creating, you know, tension with somebody. So I told her, I said, well, I'm going to come by and see you. I said, you know, whatever we got to do, we'll make it right. And so now I can make it right one or two ways, and depends on how she approaches this when I get to the house. That's how we gonna handle it. I'm prepared right now. You know, if she says, well, I don't feel like I got $600 worth of work. Okay, you got $400. Yeah, I'll give her $200 back, and that'll be the end of that relationship. You know, or if it's, you know, something that what she's complained about is where the leaves got blown to or something, you know, and they said they blew them out into the woods, and she was wanting the area in the woods cleaned up. Z-Man said, well, she did say something about that, said she was just going to talk to you. And he said, but she was wanting little trees and stuff cut down. I was like, no, that's not part of it, you know. So I got, in fact, she gave them cash. I got the cash right here, so, you know, we'll square up some kind of way. It ain't gonna be no hard feelings either way, but I don't, you know, if you know, I just don't like the way the thing was done. And I should have called and followed up with her. But one thing about, now, we like to do good work, and guys make mistakes. I totally get that. But I don't keep customers very long that's hard to deal with. Like, if you nitpick and there's, you know, there's this, that, and the other, and so, you know, and I'm not saying that about her. I'm just saying, when I get there, I think I have a better idea. Now, she said something about they blew some leaves under under some shrubs or something. Now, they shouldn't have done that. If they did, I mean, they shouldn't have done that. If it's out in the wood line, that's different. It's a jungle out there. You know, but I think she was under the impression that we were going to break all that stuff up or blow it all up and put it out on the road or something. And again, that's just a communication issue. And that's my fault, because I didn't write out an estimate. I just went over there, looked around at it, and say, oh, it'll be, you know, I just figured, oh, it's going to be one guy all day. That's how much it's going to be, and that's the price I gave her. And she didn't even think the backyard was included in that. And I said, no, man, we're gonna take care of the backyard too. Oh, okay. Well, that sounds fair. Let's do it. And but you know, me and her, either she and I were not on the same page, which is possible, or the guys did do some stuff that, you know, didn't do it maybe the way, you know, they should have or whatever. So but anyway, I'm gonna go by and see her. And but you know, you kind of talk to somebody and see if they just if somebody's just really picky, gonna be, you know, picky, and this ain't no nice lawn. So if it's gonna be like that, if I think it's gonna be like that, then we just gonna, you know, we're gonna settle up on, and I don't care. I'm one of them, I don't even care if I lose money. I just, hey, let's settle up. I want you to be happy. I don't want you to feel like I ripped you off. And you know, then we just part ways. So, and I've had to do that with a couple of customers, and you know, most of the time, about half of them within a couple of months calling, wanting to know if we'll come back, and I just tell them no. You know, we've already tried it. It didn't work, and we've moved on. You know, so there's a lot of guys out here doing this kind of work. You know, you find somebody else that's you know, maybe they'll do it the way you want it or whatever. So anyway, that's where I'm headed. I'll let y'all know how it goes. All right, so I went by, talked to the customer. I think we got everything squared away. There was some confusion, and I took responsibility for that, and of course she did too. She said, okay, I misunderstood, you know, so we're gonna try. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go back, and I'm not gonna do everything that she thought. You know, there was some stuff I was like, no, that's not part of it. I mean, we talked about, she said, okay, well, you did say something about that. So, you know, it was just some confusion on it. I said, but now, so there's azaleas down the side of the property. And so the guys blew a bunch of leaves and stuff under there, and she was wanting it cleaned out, not more added to it. And they were supposed to either chop the leaves up, or if they couldn't chop them up, in fact, I told them they had the trash can, that there was a trampoline. I said, hey, when you clean that off, you know, put it in that trash can, dump it out by the road, city picks it up. And so, you know, there was just some confusion on that. So I told her, I said, look, this is what we're going to come back and do. And she's on the schedule for us to cut. I said, so we're going to come back, and we're going to clean this stuff out that we blew under there. And because she said, well, I don't want no money back. I just can y'all just do it? And I was like, you know, so we're going to see how it goes now. Because she, you know, she was, as a matter of fact, I told her, I said, well, I wish you had called me. She said, well, you called me. She said, I would have never called and said anything about it, but I just didn't think the job got finished. She said, but I wasn't going to say anything, you know. And so you know, I give her the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully, you know, hopefully everything is good. So that'll be a bi-weekly cut. That'll be one of those little quick, you know, probably 40-minute cuts or something for one person. But she did say one thing that raised a little bit of a red flag, and I didn't bother trying to correct her, because, you know, she said they were only here for 2 hours. Now, they were there longer than that, because I know when they left the property, I know when we got there. And she said, that's $300 an hour, you know. And so, and look, they did get done faster than I thought they would. And had they got those leaves up instead of putting them on the bushes, that obviously would have took them longer time. But I told her, I said, no, we're not cutting trees down and all this kind of stuff. I told you I would quote that separate. So anyway, benefit of the doubt. Hopefully, you know, everything will work out fine there. And if it don't, then it don't. At least I'll know that, you know what, I did my I did my part. And that's just kind of that ain't just business for me, that's just life for me, you know. That's my philosophy in ministry. You know, we have, if you're a part of a church, you know, people get mad and leave, right? Sometimes good reasons, maybe, sometimes not so good reasons, right? And I always try to go, okay, did I do something to create that? You know, did I hurt somebody? You know, whatever. And if I know I did everything I could, you know, to try to help that person, minister to that person, then hey, you know, you go to sleep. I can go to sleep at night with a clear conscience. And it's the same thing for me in business, you know. So, let me see who this is calling. Oh, that's them crazy folks calling about Google listing. Man, they call twice a day. I answer all these numbers because on the business phone, like that was from Pennsylvania, but I just went and quoted a property for a lady that called, and hers was from Indiana. You know, a lot of people moved to this area, but they keep their phone numbers. And so you almost have to, you know, kind of answer everything. But anyway, life. The Bible says, as much as it depends on you, live peaceably with all men, all people, right? And so, you know, that's my philosophy for life, not just church. I mean, it goes into the workplace, social circles, you know, just all that stuff. So anyway, I got a trimmer in the back of the truck. I need to cut the yard over here. Probably run over it again. I cut it, I think, week before last. It's got a lot of trees. They don't grow a lot, but I didn't have a weed eater, so there's some areas I'm like, ooh, that looks bad. So I'm gonna try to get out there and trim that. Probably go down, cut my neighbor's yard. Young couple from the church, they don't have a lawnmower yet, and they're living in a little rental, like almost across the road from me. So I've been going and trying to cut theirs. It's not a very big yard. So I do all that before my wife gets home. Friday, big date night. Go somewhere and eat good. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and shut the video out. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. And my prayer for you is always the same, that the Lord might richly bless you, and that you might see all of your blessings as from Him.